Galimera, Galimera, Galimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I've got to be honest. Excuse me. My voice is sounding really croaky this morning. Last night, what a great night last night again in Magdalena's. Really, really fantastic. Banging out tunes last night. Big thank you to the Dutch, to the Polish, to the Italians that were in last night, and also we had a few British in as well. So all in all now it feels quite weird being back to work. There's a lot been going on within the last 24 hours, which I'm going to get to, and I'm going to warn you now, most of the news today is going to be very, very COVID heavy. But first of all, just a quick look at the real estate. As you can see, we've got a little bit of cloud today. Can I thank Amanda for a concise weather forecast? She said, morning, Ginge. Today it's going to be 32 degrees, though it's going to feel like 37. There's also a fire warning being issued as well by the fire brigade here, just to be careful that we don't get any fires. Also as well, there's not much wind about, which is quite good. Just a little slight breeze. Jane's been up since the crack of dawn this morning. She's guiding tours up at the shipwreck today. So I didn't actually see her this morning because I was fast asleep, but she left me a nice little note. Right, I'm going to do the broadcast from inside the house today. As I've already said, today's broadcast is very, very COVID heavy. There's been a lot going on within the last 24 hours. And I was crazily rewriting news this morning because things have, shall we say, developed. Anyway, let's just quickly start looking at just the arrivals today. Can I say a quick hello to Steve Hinkling, who arrived yesterday? Jane and I, obviously, I was down at the airport meeting Steve. Jane's obviously down there working, meeting arrivals yesterday. He flew in on the Liverpool flight, and I've met a few people on the Liverpool flight, and they all said the same, that basically the flight wasn't really that busy, not as busy as they expected, and that was the EasyJet flight yesterday. Anyway, at the moment, the arrivals today, we've got 2 flights in from Athens, one from Corfu, one from Israel. We've got one from the Czech Republic. We've got one from Brussels, 2 from Italy, 3 from Austria today. Also, can I say a quick hello to the guys from Opus that are here now at the moment. Hopefully, we will catch up at some point. Also, as well, 3 flights in from the Netherlands, 8 flights in from Poland. And today we've got 5 flights in from the UK. There's an EasyJet flight coming in from Gatwick at 11:05 our time here. There's a TUI flight coming in at 11:40 from Newcastle. There's another TUI flight in from Manchester today at 12 o'clock. There's also a TUI from Gatwick as well at 13:15. Then there's also a TUI Doncaster Sheffield flight at 18:55. And then there's a Ryanair flight in at 19:30 from Stansted. So again, it's looking good at the moment that we seem to be getting more British flights in at the moment. When it comes to COVID infection rate for Greece at the moment, that is making interesting reading. And I'll let you know now, the figures have dropped ever so slightly. We had 2,972 new infections across Greece yesterday. Today I can report that it's 2,604 new infections across the country. 11 new cases were identified after checks into the country. That number was down on the 19 on the previous report. Now, I've been asked to put an extra location in on my national stats as where infections are of interest to viewers. Mykonos, as we said, we've been keeping an eye on Mykonos simply because Mykonos will lead whatever happens to us here on Zakynthos. Mykonos had 45 new infections yesterday. Rhodes is the new location. A guy called Steve Kimberley asked me if I could put Rhodes in simply because he's curious, because he's decided that he wants to go to Rhodes. because he's getting cheaper holidays there. But anyway, that's by the by. Rhodes at the moment, infection rate yesterday was 47. Now, Lefkada, which is one of the smaller locations here on the Ionian Islands, they recorded 13 new cases yesterday, which, again, for an island that size is quite a lot. Corfu has recorded 31 new cases. The prefecture of Kefalonia, believe it or not, they've only recorded one new case. And I must admit, for the last couple of days, they've been quite quiet with infections over there. Now, as for Zakynthos, we recorded 6 new cases. And even though that number is down on the previous, because of the epidemiology burgeon, it was decided yesterday that Zakynthos is going up into a higher level of alert. We were in yellow. We are now in orange at the moment, and that came in yesterday under the orders of the Civil Protection Minister. He ordered that yesterday. Now, the development, to be honest, was kind of expected. Our cases have been going up. Remember, on Wednesday, we had 17 cases on Wednesday. And when you look at our stats just for this month of July, we've had 117 cases just for this month of July alone. And when you consider last month we only had 7, and the month before that we had 44, and the month before that, which was April, 177, we were just kind of expecting it at some point. Now, when it comes to new deaths, that number has just crept up slightly as well. I reported 3 the other day. Today, 5 new deaths across Greece. That brings the death toll now up to 12,870. Again, 96% of those people had underlying infections or were over the age of 70. And again, our condolences to the families that are involved. Right now, when it comes to the intensive care units at the moment, that is up ever so slightly. It's actually up by 1. Yesterday it was 125. Now it's 126, of which is 1 female actually got ill. So it's 76 male in intensive care at the moment. 50 female, up from 1 on 49 the day before. Once again, people in intensive care at the moment, the average age is 67. 83% of them have underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. Right, so that's the stats for today. Now, the news for today, the Greek government has stated that there will be no new measures as yet imposed on the islands of Santorini or Ios, which have seen a recent surge in new cases. But the younger unvaccinated workers on the islands who come into contact with tourists, their government is saying they should be persuaded to get vaccinated. Now, the Greek government has announced yesterday evening that it is now mandatory for all those in Greece who work in tourism or catering and have not been vaccinated now, that they have to now take 2 tests per week, one of which must be a self-test or a rapid test. Already, that's what I've been doing already, taking the 2 tests. But then again, this is now become mandatory across Greece. Now, according to the data provided on Thursday by a professor of infectious diseases at the Athens University, and he's also a member of the Health Ministry Committee of Experts, female, Vanna Panavoulo, the percentage of confirmed infections in the last week in adults over the age of 40 has increased significantly to constitute almost 30% of the new cases. In the week from July the 12th to the 18th, a total of 13,163 cases were recorded in adults aged between 40 to 60, which means an increase of 75% on the week before that. If you remember yesterday, my news was the fact that it was the younger age groups that were getting infected, and now all of a sudden the government is saying that the older age groups are getting infected. Anyway, the health expert has said the increase goes hand in hand with the rise in hospitalizations that have now exceeded 1,000 after several weeks. If this trend continues, she said, it will lead to a renewed pressure on the national health system. Now, to be honest, I've been watching these numbers and figures very, very closely. She's on about thousands of hospitalizations. Now, when it comes to the ICUs, these are people in critical locations. Those numbers have, to be honest, in general, have been low. You've got to remember the benchmark for pressure on the NHS system here in Greece is about 900 cases in the ICUs. At the moment, the cases have been down to about 100, 126, 125, and those cases had been dropping quite significantly. We've only just, shall we say, started to see a gradual rise in intensive care treatment. And remember, the benchmark for that is 900. At the moment, COVID clinics, we're not sure what the stats are for COVID clinics. That means people that are not as intensively ill, who obviously are not on being incubated, etc. But those numbers, again, they haven't been readily forthcoming, to be quite honest. And now to pull those numbers out of, shall we say, not say thin air, but obviously she has figures from somewhere. It just means that they're just trying to, shall we say, reinforce their numbers to obviously, because what they're after is mandatory vaccination. There's no two ways about it. Anyway, she also said this means that 1 in 3 people aged 40 to 60, that's me, has not been vaccinated, but they are the parents of people who are now on the islands and will be returning with the virus in their luggage. All right, stressing, calling on people in that age group to get their shots as soon as possible. Again, it's the rhetoric, just ramping it up, just putting pressure on people basically who decided for whatever reason they don't want to be vaccinated. They might be in a position where they can't get vaccinated because of their already underlying health issues. But again, the pressure is still being applied. Anyway, yesterday as well, this is this morning actually, this has just come out. According to the Minister of Shipping, Yannis Pakataris, more than 4,500 local and foreign tourists have been stopped from boarding ferries to the islands in Greece in this last week because they didn't have the necessary COVID documentation to allow them to get onto the boats. Anyway, after a surge in coronavirus cases, the Coast Guard on the 13th of July was brought in to check tourists to make sure that they had the proper paperwork, because apparently the port authorities had been failing to do the job properly. Anyway, checks by the Coast Guard officials now are strict. They are executed with speed and efficiency. That's what the man from the ministry was telling journalists yesterday. Oh no, it's today actually in the port of Piraeus. So once again, if you're somebody who's considering driving over, just make sure your paperwork is done, that you fill in all the correct forms. If you've been vaccinated and jabbed, obviously you're obviously going to have a very easy time getting on a ferry. Also, interestingly, only now are shall we say, the Greek mainstream media writing about this. I've not seen this at any of the local press at all. Police in Greece used tear gas and water cannon to dispense anti-vaccination demonstrators in central Athens on Wednesday. Now, the demonstration, according to the press, was smaller in size than the rally that was held on the 16th, which was attended by over 5,000 people outside the Parliament building. Anyway, anti-vaxxers, most of them unmasked, the report says, some carrying Christian icons, unfurled a huge Greek flag outside in the square. Now, according to the police, some attempted to break through a police cordon, after which officers responded with tear gas and water cannon. Also, several thousand also joined a rally in Greece's second largest city, which was Thessaloniki. Anyway, while many in the crowds were anti-vaxxers, protesters also campaigned against compulsory vaccination, what they believe is a terror campaign by the state to use the pandemic to limit their personal freedoms. Well, to be honest, it is a terror campaign for those people who've decided they don't want to be vaccinated. There is this undermining of civil liberties, and the pandemic is being used as an excuse to put measures in place for your protection that, to be honest, are going to be very difficult to remove. Looking at what's going on in the UK with Boris Johnson and in the British Parliament, extra emergency legislation has been renewed, which is not going to be addressed again until September. And again, all these extra measures of freedom of information, data passing, data going into the hands of pharmaceutical companies, big tech, etc., even with social media, means that, to be honest, through the back door, civil liberties have been crushed with this pandemic. The pandemic has been made to be basically the stick to basically say to people, don't comply, it will make your life awkward, will make your life hell. And again, it's this rabid doctrine of get vaccinated, get vaccinated. And if anything, all it's doing, it's making me just dig my heels in more to say, I am not convinced by your argument. I am not convinced at all that I'm doing myself any benefit. The only thing I'm doing by having the vaccine, as far as I can see, is supposedly making it easier for me just to go about my daily business without interference, without having to produce a piece of paper or a code on a phone that will allow me to go somewhere. So again, I think it's important that people realize and people wake up. There's a lot more to this than what's going on. I'm not saying there's no virus. I'm not saying don't get vaccinated, but it should be your choice whether you get vaccinated or not. And the way that the government is forcing it on people says to me there's a lot more going on here than what is being let on. Also as well, if I was somebody suffering from asthma or has somebody from cancer, nobody is banging on my door telling me to remember to take my medicine today just in case I should die, in the way that they are pushing the agenda with the vaccine. Anyway, also as well, according to measures brought forth by the Greek Health Ministry in Parliament, any healthcare workers now, including doctors, nurses, paramedics, and administrative support staff in the private or public hospitals, clinics and care facilities who refuse to be vaccinated will lose their social security during unpaid leave. According to a statement from the ministry, the suspension without pay will last until the person receives the vaccine or as long as the pandemic lasts. So basically, I'm going to go for the second option for as long as the pandemic lasts. Anyway, they also said that the legislation, this is Greece we're talking about now, the legislation for people working in healthcare or associated with healthcare, that's going to start to take place on August the 16th for workers in nursing homes, and they are expected to start to comply by the 1st of September. So anyway, in order to cover any losses, and this is the other thing that the government is doing here in Greece, in order to cover any loss of staff, the Greek Health Ministry has proposed hiring healthcare workers on a 3-month contract. In total, 90% of Greek doctors and 73% of nurses in the country have been vaccinated against COVID-19, so leaving basically 10%. For whatever reasons, those medical experts have decided not to get vaccinated. Anyway, they're also saying that approximately 52% of the Greek population is now vaccinated with at least one dose, and 44% have had both their doses or were vaccinated with the single dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine, probably being the most common. Anyway, the Greek Prime Minister, Mitsotakis, announced that the vaccine would be mandatory for healthcare workers, along with those who work in care facilities for the elderly and those with special needs, and that will be from mid-July. Anyway, the measures have been met with considerable controversy, which is which is understandable. And some say that it is for the greater good, and some argue it's limits to their freedom. And I would obviously err on that. I just cannot get over the mentality of this pushing people to get vaccinated, the craziness of the rhetoric from all sides, the media, etc. And it should be your choice. And that's the bottom line of it. Whatever you put in your body, because once it's in, it ain't getting out. And that's it. That's the first thing. Yes, if you've been vaccinated, well done. Fantastic, if that's what you wanted. But I know people who've come to me and said, Ginge, the only reason I got the vaccination is because of family pressure, because of people basically not wanting to come near me, talk to me, because I hadn't been vaccinated. And it's like a two-tier system has been created here in the country of those that are vaccinated and the unclean, the unvaccinated. Again, we're seeing that rhetoric just in having to police venues, vaccinated clean area upstairs, mixed area downstairs. Again, it's not good, it should be your choice. Anyway, and finally, more interesting news here from Zakynthos. There's more and more local communities on Zakynthos that in the middle of the summer are now facing huge problem with water supplies. Now, after Kalamaki and Agrilios, the residents of Pigadaki now are complaining that they have had no water at all. The president of the local community there, Dionis Veresakis, explained the reasons why the problems are currently acute. He noted that the Dias crew, they're from the local municipality, went to the village to do some repairs to damaged water infrastructure there. But again, the problems were not solved. He also said if we had more tourists this year, what would happen? There is a problem with water. We have said about drilling, which so I'll say it again. We have said about drilling that one more must be done. Okay, basically what they do is they use, you probably might have seen the trucks driving round. They basically drill down into the ground, obviously to get water from those locations, and you'd be surprised how common that is a sight, seeing these big vehicles going around drilling basically big holes in the ground, obviously to start to pipe up water. He also said our problem is that in Gerakas, they've had drilling there, and they give a lot of water. But we are still waiting in Pigadaki, and Pigadaki is further up to the north part of the island, and our drilling works 24 hours a day, and this is a problem. Now we have to also water our crops, and last year we didn't have the same intensive problem. So what they're saying, when they start drilling water further down the road, it's obviously taking water away further up the road, and they obviously need to be able to drill down where they are to obviously get more water from that location there. Anyway, Mr. Andreas Korkas, who's a resident of the village, he's also expressed his complaints. He said, in the year 2021, in the summer, people are deprived of basic goods such as water. This is downstream. The people in charge should resign, obviously talking about the mayor and the office down there and the demos who actually are responsible for the water supply here on the island. He said there are old people here. One may not be required to carry water from the tap or shout at any individual to bring water because, again, some areas are experiencing water being shut off at certain times of the day, and then obviously the water is allowed back on again for the rest of the day, and it's very difficult, all right, for some people. And please bear that in mind when you're on holiday here. Try not to waste water. It is a resource. The island is a green island, but trust me, they work hard to get their water here. And please just spare a little thought sometimes and try not to waste water. A little bit saved may actually go a long way when you consider that certain places on the island are actually suffering water shortages as we speak. Us personally here where we are in Macardo, where we are, we're very fortunate that we get most of our water from a well that is literally on our property here. And our main danger is burning out the pump, all right? But in reality, we're very fortunate where we are, but we know there are other people further up the road, further up across the island, who aren't as fortunate as what we are. Right, okay, so that's a look at the news for today. Just to look at the comments, I see a lot of people commenting at the moment. Wendy Norcliffe, Michelle Taylor says, don't waste water by drinking it, drink wine. Thank you for that one, Michelle. Also as well, Steve Kimberley is watching in. I hope those stats were good for you for going over to Rhodes. Rhodes at the moment is another island that is probably very close to going red at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how that island fares as well. Ashley Duncan is watching. Jane Clues is watching. Not my Jane Clues, but Jane Clues over in Leek. Nice to have you looking in. Rachel Hanson is watching. Andy Stoker up there in, where is it? I know he's in the northeast. Somebody said about my voice sounding very squeaky this morning. Right, listen, I've got a lot to do today. Once again, back in Magdalena's tonight. The plan is this at the moment. We are still not allowed live entertainment at the moment. There are still questions at the moment. I feel sorry for Danielle Rogers and also for Dennis. The amount of times that they've been backwards and forwards to the police station, either to sort out paperwork or just to confirm what the rules are before the police start turning up. And yes, the police have been very busy and active. They were out and about last night in Sillery. And it'd be interesting to see if there's any feedback today from their activities in Sillery last night. They were very busy, obviously, in Laguna. They've been busy there. They've also been busy down in Kerry as well, which is a big surprise. Kerry is one of the most quiet of resorts, to be quite honest. But the police are out and about and they're checking. So again, we're erring on the side of caution, again, with live entertainment, because the last thing we want to do is find out the rules when they decide to come a calling and they walk through the door and you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, here's a 5,000-10,000 euro fine and you're closed for 7 days. So basically the plan is this. Tonight, again, the same as last night, DJing. Don't forget, I'm also on the radio tonight as well, in the UK, beachradio.co.uk, broadcast all over the world. Obviously, I won't be in the chat room because I'll be busy in Magdalena's. But the plan is this. Saturday night, I plan to make next week's show in front of a live audience on Saturday night in Magdalena's. The show will be recorded and then it will be aired the following Friday. All right. And then it will be repeated again on the following Saturday. The show I do tonight, it will not be repeated tomorrow because Ian and I, we each have an extra slot on, and it alternates on a Saturday. All right. So basically, tonight's show is going out on Beach Radio. That will be the last recorded show from Studio One here in Macardo. And the next show that will go out on Beats next week will be recorded in front of a live audience. I'm going to do the same with the Northern Soul show. So again, I will probably record that, might be on the Monday night, but I will wait and see how the weekend unfurls to confirm. But definitely this Saturday night, unless things change, I will record the Dance Anthem show in front of a live audience. And can I just thank all those people that were in last night? A lovely guy from the from Hungary last night. I can't remember his name now. But anyway, thank you for your comments on the music. Oh, that's right. He's going to basically, he told me I shouldn't, well, he won't be listening anyway, but basically what's happening is he's going to taking his girlfriend out on a trip today up to the shipwreck. He's got the ring and he's going to propose to her at the shipwreck. So he said tonight he's going to let me know how it all goes. So anyway, we'll wait and see. So again, that's our first marriage proposal we've had this year, as far as I'm aware. But anyway, I better go because I'm burbling on. I've got things to do. Anyway, so again, I'll see you in Magdalena's tonight if you're here. I'll be on beatsradio.co.uk tonight, 7 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Greek time. And I won't be in the chat room. So if you've got any requests, dedications, or any music you want chucked in for future shows, leave a message in there and they'll pass it to me at some point. Right, that's it from me. You have a good day wherever you are. And we'll just see how the day goes. I'll keep my ear to the ground. And if I hear anything, I'll let you know. Ta-ra.